Hi, today is Palo Alto Network Firewall and Architecture session. Palo Alto Firewall is a next generation firewall developed by Palo Alto Networks. It goes beyond traditional firewalls by inspecting traffic at the application, user, and content levels, not just IP addresses and ports. There are key features about Palo Alto Firewall. Application aware security app ID, user identification, content inspection, threat prevention. These are the key features which is available in Palo Alto Firewall. It will be used in the while configuring the rules, and the Palo Alto firewalls can be accessed via the three steps, that is Web UI, CLI, and Panorama, that is centralized management platform. And the deployment options are hardware appliances, virtual firewalls, cloud native firewalls for AWS, Azure, GCP, and container, Kubernetes, and CN firewalls. How different from the traditional to the Palo Alto firewalls? Traditional firewalls are the port-based firewalls, port-based filtering, limited visibility, basic ACL rules, minimal threat detection, application-based filtering, deep packet inspection, user and content-aware for policies, integrated threat prevention in Palo Alto next-generation firewalls. Common use cases: enterprise network perimeter security, data center protections, cloud security, VPN gateway, and zero trust architecture implementation. There are few steps needs to be followed while configuring the rules in the Palo Alto firewalls, that is interfaces and zones should be configured, basic routing should be configured, and also you have access to the firewall via web UI. And we need to follow the basic steps to configure a rule, security rule, to allow the uh, needful access to the destinations, like the LAN, internet, and DMZ zones to be configured. Also, along with the source and destinations, and also the enable the user ID, LDAP, and user ID agents. So these are the steps that needs to be followed to configure the rules in Palo Alto firewalls. After configuring the rule, there is a steps that we need to follow in Palo Alto to push the change to be implemented what we have configured in the Palo Alto firewall. That is via the Panorama. First we need to push the change, then later we need to push the in the devices. If we are not using the Panorama, we can directly go and push the devices if we are accessing via web UI. And once that is implemented, you can just check the traffic in the monitor tab. And this topic is related to the Palo Alto architecture. The Palo Alto firewall architecture is based on the single pass parallel processing SP3 design that enables high performance, deep visibility, and granular security enforcement without sacrificing speed. The core architecture concepts are single pass parallel processing SP3. Traditional firewalls inspect traffic in multiple sequential passes, routing, policy, inspection, logging. Palo Alto Firewall processes traffic single pass where multiple security engines work in parallel. Key benefits are lower latency, higher throughputs, simultaneous inspection, app, user, content, no performance degradation when enabling the security features. The main architecture components are control plane and data plane. In control plane, the routing protocols, management interface, policy configuration, logging and reporting, high availability, and runs on a dedicated CPU separate from a traffic processing. In data plane, session setup, lookup, NAT processing, security policy and enforcement, app ID, user ID, content ID processing, traffic forwarding. Single pass software engines. During packet processing, these engines work simultaneously. App ID identifies applications regardless of port, protocol, encryption. Example identifies Facebook even if they're running on TCP 443. User ID maps IP addresses to the users, integrates with Active Directory, LDAP, and SAML. Content ID. Content ID provides the antivirus, anti-spyware, vulnerability protection, URL filtering, file blocking, data filtering, DLP. The traffic flow overview. When traffic enters to the firewall, the packet arrives at interface, session lookup performed. If new session, policy lookup, NAT rule check, app ID classifications, content ID inspections, security policy enforcement, logging, forwarding, all done in single processing pass. Hardware architecture, that is next generation firewalls, is physical appliances, multi-core processor, network processing cards, NPC, separate management plane, hardware acceleration for packet filtering, packet forwarding. Examples of the products are PA 7000 series, 5200, 3200 series. Virtual and cloud architecture. Palo Alto offers VM series, Hyper-V, KVM, CN series, Cloud NGFW for AWS and Azure. Example, VM series, Cloud NGFW and AWS for AWS. The high availability in Palo Alto supports active passive, active active. It includes session synchronization, configuration sync, failover monitoring. Traditional firewall, ports based, multi-pass inspection, limited user visibility, performance drops with features. In Palo Alto Firewall, application-based control, single-pass parallel inspection, integrated user ID designed for full future performance. This is the differences between the comparison with traditional firewalls. Summary. In Palo Alto Firewall architecture builds on single-pass, parallel processing, app ID, user ID, content ID integrations, separate control and data planes, high performance, hardware acceleration, cloud and virtual deployment options. Today, I just explained about the Palo Alto firewall basic rule creation, how to check the logs in the Palo Alto, and how to access the Palo Alto firewall either in Web UI or CLI or the Panorama, which is options available to access the firewall. Also, along with the Palo Alto architecture, this will needs to be understand to do the initial configuration and troubleshooting in the Palo Alto firewall. Thank you.